Hey there. Okay, this has been the biggest question I have gotten over on Instagram, so I needed to answer it for you. I've been asked by countless Instagram friends, how do you get your kids to put the toys back where they belong? Does this sound like you? Well, in this video, I am going to share some easy tips and some things that you might be doing right now that are stopping your kids from cleaning up after themselves.
Hey there, I'm Jessica, the Organized Mama, and I help families just like you with practical organizing, decorating, and DIY tips.
All right, so you have all sorts of toys all over your house, and you ask your kids to clean up, and they look at you like, what? Like they don't know what you are talking about. And it can be so frustrating as a parent because you are trying to figure out ways to keep your house tidy, allow your kids to, actually find the things that they need. And you don't want all the toys all over the place because you actually have to live in the house, right? Well, when it comes to toy organization and getting your kids to actually put the toys back where they go, the very first thing you need to do is keep it simple. I know. What are you talking about? Keep it simple. There's so many toys and there's so many bins and all of the stuff. I totally get it. But if you keep it simple, the kids will be able to do it themselves. Okay, let me walk you through this. When it comes to toy categories, I am a true believer that they only need about 8 to 10 categories of toys. I know it stresses so many of my in-home clients out, but hear me out. When you reduce the amount of toy categories, then you reduce the amount of bins, which then reduces the amount of spaces things can go, which then keeps everything simple. Okay? So an example of a toy category. One, it could be cars. It could be cars and trucks. It could be trains. It could be all things with wheels. That is a toy category. Now, why it is so random is because it depends on your kids, your family situation, the amount of storage space you have, and the types of interests your kids are interested in. So you really have to sit and do my very first step, which is watch what your kids are actually playing with. When you see what your kids are playing with, everything else doesn't need to be there. Just get it out. Get it out. And then you can set up a simple system, like one bin for all the things on wheels, or one bin for all of the Barbie stuff, one bin for all of the blocks. If you keep it simple and just group all the same types of toys in the same toy category together, you are going to create something that the kids can maintain. Another thing that I see is that there is no order. And trust me, it is 8:30 at night and you just stepped on a Lego trying to get the kids to go up to bed. And you're just like, oh my God. And you just shove toys into bins and push them away. And you're like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. But then tomorrow turns into that weekend. And then that weekend turns into next month. And then next month turns into my house is a complete disaster. And I'm so overwhelmed and stressed. I just want to go hide in the closet and forget everything. Well, if you teach kids order because you kept it simple, it will help you in the long run. So when you teach order, it's easy to turn it into a game. And now you don't have to be a preschool teacher or any kind of teacher to turn cleaning up into a game. All you have to do is create some sort of way to get kids to clean up in an orderly fashion. Okay, total aside, my kiddos go to a Montessori school, and Montessori is very rigid on how they clean up and put things away, take things out, and that kind of thing. And I love it because it works really well for my kids because the order makes sense to them and their brains. There is actually a lot of research on that type of order and logic behind how kids process information. So The same can be applied when you're talking about toys and teaching order. So when you keep it simple, you have like 8 categories of toys, one of which is blocks. And with the blocks, you go and say, all right, I want to see you pick up blocks, you pick up cars, and I'm going to pick up dolls. On your mark, get set, go. And then you see who can pick up the most items. That's an easy game to play. Who can pick up the most? Another one is who can pick up the most items. So that encourages counting. Another thing you could do is who can pick up the most bins that are out, like categories that are out. Another way to do this is to also have the kids tell you which one category you're going to pick up, and then they're going to do the rest. And then you have, like, you can kind of be like them. Like, there is a scene in this movie called Wet Hot American Summer that always sticks out whenever I think of my kids trying to pick something up. It's Paul Rudd, and he like throws his dishes on the ground, and then Janine Garofalo is like, pick them up. And so he's like, I do that when my kids are throwing a fit and are like, I don't want to clean up. I do that so over the top. They think it's hilarious. It breaks the, kind of like the tension about cleaning up the toys. And then I can also like demonstrate some of the really annoying things that they have been doing, and then just kind of call it out in like a fun, playful way. And so they see like, okay, I just spent way more time throwing a fit than I did cleaning up. So I act like Paul Rudd. Oh, I don't want to do this. And then I'm like, you're cleaning up so much faster than me. And I go over the top with those things, and then they just think it's hilarious. And so then they clean up actually faster because they like hear me and they get annoyed with me. So while this doesn't work in every family, my kids get a kick out of it. So if you'd like to try it, comment below, let me know if you do, because I'd love to hear your stories if that works for you and your family. Another thing you need to do is be consistent. So set a designated time in your nighttime routine to clean up. Now, that doesn't mean you have to dump out all the bins and sort all of the things, because sometimes you just don't have time to do that. But it is a good transition into nighttime by doing like a quick 10-15 minute cleanup. So just be consistent with your cleanup. Are you doing it every night? Are you doing it every weekend? Are you doing it, every morning before the kids go to school? What is your cleanup policy for your home? And then set that and be super consistent with following through on that. And then you will quickly see that your kids are more likely to put away their toys where they belong than when you aren't as consistent. Now, one of the biggest things with consistency is creating a system that works well for you and your family. So one thing I like to do is to have like a bin that's like the sort later bin, or like to sort, or just kind of like not a dumping ground, but let's say you're cleaning up and there is a doll shoe that you find in the playroom and that is supposed to go in the basement, but you don't have time to go run down to the basement to go put away this doll shoe. So you put it in the to sort. And then that way, if a child is looking for a toy, you can say, did you check the to sort? Because maybe it wasn't in the right spot in order to get put away. It is a great way to kind of like limit any extra items going into bins that they don't belong. But in order to have a to sort bin, you need to make sure you sort it weekly or monthly, depending on how much stuff piles up in there. For us, we have a to sort Lego bin, and that gets sorted the first weekend of every month. I have to give my dog a pill for his like heartworm. So on that day is the day that we do our Lego sort, and it just kind of like works together. And so I've made it, kind of set up together. So find something that works for you to do your to sort if you choose to do that option. Now, another thing that I like to do, and I've told so many clients about this and they have had such success, is to use natural consequences. Okay, so a natural consequence is just something that happens naturally for doing another action. It is neither good nor bad. Consequences are not good or bad. Consequences are just things that happen. When we start putting the spin on it that it's negative, it's not always the case. Like you press start on your car, or you turn the key on your car starts. consequence of that action. So because of that, a natural consequence is if your kids clean up, they put away all their stuff, but let's say, they were doing like a Paul Rudd and they're like, okay, and they didn't do the best job. Well, then the next day they're looking for said toy and you're like, well, if you would have put things back where they go, you'd be able to find it quicker. And so basically you are taking the responsibility of finding said item off of yourself and putting it on your child. When they start to learn that their actions do have consequences, good or bad, they will start to see that the more time they spend putting things away effectively, the better their outcome will be to find it later. Okay, another really good thing to do, especially if you have younger children, is to use natural breaks as a way to clean up, to tidy, to put away your toys. And use those as, kind of like the transition piece into the next activity. Now with this, there's also language. So these 2 points kind of do go hand in hand. I want you to frame your language in a positive way and use natural breaks. So let me give you an example of this. You are about to have lunch and then your child is going to go down for their nap or have quiet time. What you can say is, after you finish cleaning up, we will have lunch. Instead of, you'll get lunch when you're done cleaning. The reason why you're reframing it and using it in a positive light is you're not making cleaning up a negative action. You are making it more of a routine instead of a first then type of thing. This works for lots of kids, but not every kid. So that's why try it. Give yourself some time with it, see how it works. And then I feel like most kids will use this in a positive way. Not everyone, but most kids will. Then use the natural breaks as your way to tidy up or get kids to put things away so that when they are done with school or meals or nap or whatever natural break kind of occurs, then your kids are able to start playing again. But most of the time they aren't going to start where they left off. They're going to start something new. So this way, instead of having, all 8 of your bins sprawled out all over the house, you now only have 3 because their activity changed and their ideas had changed. Finally, my last tip is to label. When you label everything, your kids are going to be able to put things back where they belong easily. I am a huge fan of picture labels. Most of the time, I recommend actual pictures of the items in the bins. Most kids don't always do the best with the cartoon label. They need to see the actual picture label. So what I like to do in front of a window or a glass door, lay down a piece of tag board and lay down a couple of toys that you have in that bin. Stand over the items, take the picture, and then you can also add text to that picture as well. Laminate it, stick it to the bin, and then your kids can see exactly what needs to go inside. Now, those canvas bins can be tricky to get things to stick. So one thing I like to do is a ring clip. Those circle clips that open and close. Those are great to hold the picture. So just put a hole punch and stick that in. If your kid tends to play with the bin clip, which I have had some clients, kiddos do, then try and find some other interactive sensory toys that give them that same motion. And then you will see that their need to play with that isn't going to happen as much. For more information on how to get your kids to put their toys back where they belong, go down below where it says read more, and I have so many more tips, tricks, and tutorials there. Love what you see? Don't forget to subscribe. New videos every Wednesday.